What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to UAP Tuesday. That's right, UAP Tuesday. Thank you for being so supportive and being here each and every Tuesday with myself and Mark Riley. We're doing the virtual today because Marcus Yodius Rileyus, he takes time out of his busy schedule to join us today, and he couldn't make it over here today, and that's fine because I got him on the virtual to talk about all things UAP. And the main topic, as you saw in the thumbnail and you saw the title, is these hotspots that are popping up all over the place. So UAP has been so many different places. I think it was like Maryland right now is just so much. And the question is, do you live in a hotspot? Do you live in a place that it's possible that so many different people, there's a report that came out with all these different hotspots of places that are being spotted all the damn time. It's part one. Part two, something no one's talking about, and I didn't even know because I'm doing research for this show. Those little cake alien bodies that we talked about. There's a couple of doctors that did research on them and said it's not cake. I don't know what the hell it is. Nobody's reporting on it. I don't even think my co-host knew. What is it? No one knows, and no one's reporting on it. Tim Burchett is one of the guys running shop in the government to make sure that there's more disclosure. He's still at it, and there seems to be more and more potential that more whistleblowers are coming forward. Is it going to happen? It's the same thing that Riley and I've been talking every week, is that more disclosure is going to happen. It's big in the next year. Something's going to go down. Is it going to go down? I don't know. But between that's a lot to talk about today on the big thing. So thanks for joining us once again. So for myself and Mark Riley, here we go. It's the big thing. Let's do it. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. UAP Tuesday. It's a big thing. It's myself and Mark Riley.
Howdy, Kristian.
What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Good. How's everyone out there? Happy UAP Tuesday.
Yeah, it's good to have you. And
good to be here as always.
What's funny is that, and I think I don't know where I'm going to put it. I'll probably put it on Patreon or maybe even put it as at the end of this. I don't know. But right as you joined in the stream, I found a fight video, but they had put it towards the theme of Street Fighter.
It's why I'm still coughing, because I was laughing.
We were laughing
so
really
hard.
It's really funny. So I don't know where I'm going to post it. But speaking of Patreon, I was talking to Riley about that. On Friday, I announced on our other show, if you're not familiar with it, we're going to be doing some goals for our Patreon. And we're going to be adding some new tiers and adding a few things. But at Patreon, for people who are familiar with the other shows that we do, Winston A. Marshall is one of my co-hosts. And Riley, remember when we took Josh McCouga back to Universal Horror Nights, Halloween Horror Nights? Well, Winston's just as scared as McCouga. Then we came to an agreement that he said he would do it. He pretty much said, like, well, you got to pay me more. He goes, you got to pay me more than my normal rate, and significantly more if I'm going to do it. And I was like, yeah, if we hit 1,000 patrons, then we'll do it. So we're aiming at 1,000 patrons. At 10,000 patrons, Brett Sheridan is going to skydive, which he's terrified of heights, and said he'll skydive at 10,000 patrons. But this is one of my favorite ones, O'Reilly.
That's insane. I will never skydive.
He would do it for 10,000 for the amount of money he's going to do at 10,000 patrons. You might do it. But nonetheless, it is not my favorite out of all the ones that have been recommended. Brett actually came up with this one today. We were talking about the Lost Boys.
Oh my God.
And
we
brought up Corey Feldman. We brought up at 1,500 patrons, Brett and I are going to go to a Corey Feldman concert. And we're going to sit in the front row. We're going to get front row seats.
Yeah.
And we're going to record the whole thing. And we're going to try to get backstage.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so we're going to see. But how does this relate to the UAP is what people are going to say. Well, Riley and I actually talked about this last week. And what we're going to do is not necessarily a goal. It's going to be one of the benefits that when you join up, we're going to do an extra 2 episodes a month on Patreon starting in November, just for UAP listeners. We'll have this one that's going to be on every Tuesday, obviously, for UAP, but for people who want a little bit more, and I get people who DM me. I'm sure, Riley, you get DMs all the time about this.
I'm actually getting them. Yeah.
And so we want to be able to get questions from you guys. We want to be able to, really go off because there's only so much because of one show a week that we can cover and really can't get everybody's questions. So we want to get everybody's questions, Patreon questions. So join up today. It's the first one. It's the patreon.com/thebigthingshow. Starting in November, we are going to have a full-on 2 more UAP shows for you guys, and we're going to be taking questions for you guys, getting us involved, being part of the conversation. So if you want to support the show and you're able to support the show, then consider joining today. And like I said, and you might not even know Winston, but if you join up, I think the UAP audience alone could probably get us to 1,000 within, because it's by October that we can still take Winston. If not, we'll have to take him next year. But either way,
there you go.
It's amazing, right? Like I was just talking to one of our patrons actually.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking to me. He's asking me about how the UAP show kind of came about and how we decided we wanted to do it. And initially, you and I were like, "Well, let's just do it. We'll do it like once a month,
one time, right?
Yeah, we'll do it. And if we do it once a month, and then we had so much to talk about every week, and then B, the amount like this show consistently, our lower rated episodes are like 25 to 30,000 an episode, and people are so interested and continuously talking about it. I'm not just talking about the full-on believers. I'm talking about people who are skeptics. I'm talking about people who are kind of in the middle. They like this presentation of the idea of, look, you guys don't know what it is. You have your ideas about it, and so do I.
Yeah, we're following breadcrumbs as much as you are, and I've always loved it. It taps into that part of me that loves horror movies and loves to stare off into the sky, because I've always stared off into the sky wondering what the hell is out there, because it's so big, it's so grand, and we are in a time now that is the most exciting in my lifetime, because we are getting confirmations from legitimate sources and people that I look at and pass the eye test. They are not now. We are like, if you would have told me, a young lad of 10, Riley, in 40 years or so, you are going to see the government and people in the government sit down and talk about this legitimately. Somebody's going to come out and say, we have remains. I've seen, I know people who've seen this. I have witnesses. This person here, he saw something do this and this and this. I mean, I would have shit my pants.
Right. Exactly. I know. It's true.
And so we are far along right now. And I think the viewers, thank you. And everybody that is now following me and sending awesome messages. This is an exciting time. And if you are skeptical, to a certain degree, we are as well, or at least I am, but I've seen my share of things. And I want to believe, and there is so much going on, Kristian, now that why can't we do even more? We're going to be going off script, talking about even wild theories, but then answering, what's next. And this is
I'm definitely skeptical of things. Like, perfect example, like, so what I do before I'm always checking the news for the week whether I'm at nighttime, just scrolling through and seeing who's reporting on it, see if there's new stuff that pops up. And then usually right before we do the show, I do my normal searches to see if there's anything that I missed. And I always scroll on X or Twitter, whatever it is, and I go to UAP Twitter or UFO Twitter, and I go, and I'm usually, that's where I'm most skeptical, right? Because not because, I mean, look, there's a lot of stories in there that pop out that are true, but there's also a lot of people that are just trying to like say, oh, look at this. Like you see stuff on there, and there's videos, there's stuff that you're like, oh, it'd be awesome if it was true, but the percentage of it being true are like slim to none. Like, there's like interviews with aliens, and they're talking, and like they might as well be singing Beach Boys songs. I don't know. But like, there's all these different things, and there's every other one is a UFO like post, like an actual, you see one flying in the sky, and you're like, well, what my problem with those, why I'm so skeptical there, is because of what we've talked about in the past. There's so much that you can do with deep fake, not just deep fakes, but the CGI in general, and all these
technology. You can plug it into something and create something that looks very real.
Then there's a couple things that out there, and I was like, it looks real, but it also looks like it's really it's done like fantastic. And I think like that's the arguments that some of the skeptics could say, like, like even though you guys are saying like that one looks fake, I think the Tic Tac looks fake, or I think the one that is over a few of the other ones that they've showed, the actual hearings could have been done by CGI. So
we're going to have to worry about that. I think that that's going to go against and possibly harm skeptics and government and getting stuff out there, because you can hide behind, it's technology. That's a blah, blah, blah. Somebody just kind of created that and, move on. And that can be grasped onto as something as just explainable.
Well, we're going to talk about a couple of things. And if we have time today, I'm going to go through some of the ones like the videos that I found, Riley, that I'm going to be like, that to me, it looks interesting, but it looks fake. And then there's ones that people say like totally looks fake. And then there's other ones that say, no, that there's no reporting of that actually being described as fake. So that's where, when you go down that rabbit hole on Twitter, it's like that type of stuff. It's like you could see where people are like, okay, sure. Like I'll play the one that I saw that was so silly was the one that they like dubbed the alien's voice over, and they're like interviewing the alien, and the guy interviewing him is talking to him the way that I'm talking to you now, right? And it's like, I don't care if you spent 10 years with this thing. To me, I'm going, hey, I know you're tied up and you could probably break out and laser my face, but why are you here?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have Admiral Akbar in studio. Oh, thank you for having me. Wait, talking about Falcon here.
He's like being a dick to him. It's like, yeah, so why are you guys here? What? Yeah, all right. It's so stupid. But anyway, but there's
a line there,
there's a line. So it's like, and I understand that if you're not paying attention to the stuff that's like official and these other things, and it all blends into one, like if let's say that you're just, you hear two guys like us talking about it, you listen to this movie show 4 days a week, and for some reason on Tuesdays, these two guys start talking about UAPs. Like, what the hell are these guys talking about? You know what? I'll search this UAP Twitter, and you do it. And you find the alien tied to the thing on about, everything's fine. He's talking English, by the way. And so he's like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? That's the first thing. That's where I could understand where you're like, wait a minute. However, if you start going now to this, like this USA Today article, and it says over 100 unidentified flying objects are reported every month to the National UFO Reporting Center. The center publishes these reports on their website's databank and sorts them in different indexes based on their location, their description, the date that they were sent, and the date of the sighting. California is the most populated state in the U.S., and it leads as the state with the most sightings, with over 16,000, according to the data index. Florida, the third most populated state, follows with over 8,000, and Washington, the 13th most popular state, with 7,000. Peter Davenport, the nonprofit's director since 1994, says the state with the most sightings tend to be the most populated states. He explained that Washington state's high UFO sightings could be explained by the fact that the center is based there. Davenport said he's noticed an increase in reports throughout his career and credits that to people's willingness to report them rather than UFOs existing. I think the most prominent feature is people who are most willing to report things that they can't identify, Davenport said. So generally, people are more willing to talk about the subject. Now, what states have the most UFO sightings? These are the top 10 states in the U.S. with the most reports. All right, so Riley, number 1 is California. Number 2 is Florida. Number 3 is Washington. What do you think number 4 is?
They said most populated states.
Yep.
I'm going to go with Texas.
That's right. Texas is right.
It's huge.
That's right. And then
that other one was there was a sighting by some guys in Texas as well. Never mind. Go.
You want to try to guess number 5?
Oh, if I got Texas, I don't know what. The most populated states.
You're barking up the right tree.
What's populated states? We got Washington. We got
California. You got Florida. You got Washington. You got Texas.
Florida is already there. Yeah. So I don't know. I would say New York is next.
Riley hitting it 2 for 2. Riley, that's it. California, Florida, Washington, Texas, New York, followed by Pennsylvania, Arizona, Ohio.
It's not going to be South Dakota. I'll tell you that.
I would have picked Arizona in there because of all the reports. I
kept going there, but yeah, New York, and because when you say California, I think LA, right? And when you say New York, I think New York City, and you're all packed in there.
Yeah,
and if they're saying most populated,
all the San Diego reports that they've had, and
and then San Diego, but then you also think about Texas and how big that state is, and how spread out everything is. Plus, some of the reports that are coming out of Texas made me think there.
So the one California, Washington, Texas, right? Those ones we've heard a lot about them, and even a few in New York. There's that it was Syracuse, which is the one that Hudson. The one in Hudson was the big one, where the whole like damn town saw it. The only one is over 8,205 reports in Florida. 8,205 of them. What the hell was that? Guy shooting flames up in the sky. But I don't know. I can't. I have family. I have a lot of family that lives in Florida.
I've been to Florida many times.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. You're also like, especially where I was, very small town, kind of like 30 miles outside of Orlando. You have to drive there. And then at night, it's just, so I could picture Florida being a big one.
Yeah. I mean, so that's the report again. One more time.
Michigan's not in there, huh?
No, which is surprising to me because
the one I saw where I saw it.
It's like a really big hotspot, but no, it's California, Florida, Washington, Texas, New York, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Ohio, Illinois, and then North Carolina. Now,
Ohio's right there with Michigan, so
so it's right around the same area. What are the most common types of UFOs reported? The most common description is just a non-identified light in the sky, according to Davenport. We don't get too excited about reports of that nature because there are many lights in the sky. Could be stars, planes, and of course, satellites. As a commercial pilot himself, Davenport said that he's intrigued by reports submitted by airline pilots, which he calls pretty good sources of accurate information when they see something they can't identify or explain. Descriptions of these objects from the center's data ranges from common shapes like circles, ovals, triangles, diamonds to images like lights or orbs of flashes or discs or fireballs. A NASA team published a report on September 14th showing that the most common form of UAPs reported are orbs and spheres. And there's a whole bunch of different graphics and stuff that I'll put up there. There's a UFO center calls for more government transparency. That's all this stuff that kind of we had heard already before. But there's a lot of reports, I think, and this is more so. I think this goes back into the fact that we're in kind of this, as you were talking about before, right? This kind of mainstream thing where more people are talking about UAPs and UFOs, that you get a report like this and get a report. I mean, this is not new. There's been reports of UAPs and UFOs happening for a bit, but I do think that more people are willing to say, like, this is twofold. I think there's more people willing to say, okay, I don't feel as nuts because there's so many people reporting on this, and maybe I should say something because maybe it does add into this cover up and all this stuff, and maybe I will say, hey, I saw something. That's part one. I think that that's definitely happening. But I also think what's happening is, somebody hammered sees a plane in the sky and it goes a little faster than normal, and he goes, I just saw a UAP.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think that happens. I think that happens often. And I think that goes into what that comment that we was talking about from James Fox. It's like, granted, a lot of these things can be explained, but whatever let's say I always say 12%, but let's say whatever that 12% that you can't explain, what's that?
That's right.
This is.
I was going to reference that very kind of quote or whatever, however you want to classify it. But yeah, I'm sure there's a ton of it. Just like, I remember literally being like, what is that? That doesn't, I don't know. It's this. And it turned out to be a Chinese lantern celebration in Long Beach when I lived at the time. And they were just floating in the sky and it was weird. Totally explained. The other thing I saw in Michigan, nope. That thing, I was with two other people, Kai Blackwood, who I mentioned being on the show. I mean, we should get him on and
definitely
talk about that. But anyways, I can buy that it's maybe a large percentage. Plane, Chinese lantern, solar sphere, whatever. What is that? But you said it. The article mentioned it. We are in a time now where it's more people are going to come forward when they see something because the stigma is slowly coming down.
I mean,
that's what I think is important.
I think slowly coming down is the right way to phrase that for sure, because it's like,
very slow.
It's very slow. I mean, there are more people who are like, as opposed to back like 5 years ago, if you bring up something like this, they go, that guy is crazy.
Yeah.
Right now, it's more so like, all right, why do you think it's real? It's like, tell me why.
Yeah.
As opposed to that's a big progression. I'm not saying everybody believes it. That's a big progression for people going, all right, well, let me hear about it. Because I can't tell you how many people I've been like that have done that thing that we always talk about. And then
it's my favorite. Yeah.
And then you say, well, wait a minute. Before you laugh it off, like listen to these particular facts. Listen to these things. And you're not going to get it because everybody who doesn't believe has the same thing. We talk about it in the show every week. It's always why is it always grainy footage, which is a okay question, but the other answer to that is too, like, these things aren't slow, they're fast, and it's hard to pick up all the time, right? That's part one, but there's that's an okay question. The one that drives me crazy all the time is how come the US is the only one seeing it?
That one's just,
that drives me nuts. Like,
just go to Google. It's just that
watch encounters like two, I think 2 or 3 out of the 4 encounters are in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
And Japan's a hotspot, Russia is a hotspot, Australia, I mean, South Africa, tons of different places have had reports. That's just a bunch. I mean, there's a bunch.
Yeah, and it's you get those because it's always been classified in a fantastic way,
right?
In a fantastical way. The Bigfoot's out there, the wizards, and I always say wizards, elves, and whatnot. But we are starting to break that down with more and more people that can say it. And again, think of like Nope. They knew they had that UFO around there, so they can the movie Nope. Sorry, and they set up their cameras. We don't have that. We can't possibly know how to do that right now unless you stay in a hotspot for a while and just keep it trained there.
That's true, but I will say though, and this is one of the things we'll play in a second too, is that like Tim Burchett, who has been very much so at the center of all of this, and when it comes to trying to get more answers, and he's one of the few people in Congress that's actually trying to get things done with the UAPs, right?
He really is. He's a funny
Let me ask
dude.
you a question though too, because again, this show is we don't dive into the politics of it all.
No,
because in a certain, obviously,
somewhat.
I think it's political that both Democrats and Republicans are trying to come together to make this thing happen. So in a sense, it's political. But I mean, as far as outside of the worlds of UAP and in the politics themselves. But I will say this, as you know, they ousted Kevin McCarthy as a Speaker of the House, and Matt
unprecedented.
Gaetz. Yes, now Matt Gaetz is obviously the guy who ran that whole thing. One of the guys who voted him out was Burchett.
Yeah.
And remember what Burchett said, and I'm not, and I think things do happen when it comes to grudges and other things too. McCarthy was the one that said no on the committee. He's like, hey, we need a committee, we need to do this, we need to get more. And McCarthy told Burchett no. I bet you that chapped Burchett's hide. I bet you that pissed them all, and I bet you that it was easy for him because him and Gaetz have been working together on this thing. So I bet you that had something to do with it. I'm not saying it had all to do with it, but I'm saying it had something to do with it. And whoever the hell it is, I will bet you that whoever the new speaker is, I bet you that they are going to lend their support towards this case from both Gaetz and Burchett, who are very much proponents.
You might be right. There's a handful of Republicans in the House that are kind of, making some noise. But McCarthy, he made his bed.
But but 2 of the guys that voted him out are big proponents on disclosure on UAPs. Again,
Burchett, I can get behind.
Here I'm not telling anybody else here to get behind politics of any politician. I'm talking about this particular
just for this and
this particular thing, that this could mean, it could mean a lot of negative things for other things. It could mean a positive things as far as the UAP thing when it comes to, because McCarthy was like, I don't think McCarthy wanted anything to do with this subject.
I think there was things that he was trying to do, playing both sides, but this to stick to the point of what it could be for UAPs. And I think you're right that we might get somebody in there that is going to go, all right, let's get some more committees going, because we do have on the other side of the aisle, there is Democratic support for this.
Yep.
And this is can be bipartisan, which I think is a good thing.
I would love to try to get Burchett on this show.
He's a guy I can't help but really liking the guy when he talks. I listened to that clip you sent me, by the way, on Twitter.
Again, when it comes to this subject, I'm
talking just on the subject. I'm sure I'll pull my hair out for some of the other things he stands for.
I will say that I've heard him talk about other, but this is what I will say about him. I've heard him talk about other things. There's some things I agree that he talks about. There's other things I'm on the total opposite page with him. However, I like the way he handles himself.
Yes.
I like the way he handles himself. It's like an old school kind of politician in the way that you can listen to. He's very passionate about this, and so are we. And that's why we're listening to this. And it's like, there was a day when it wasn't just Yankees versus Red Sox. It was like, I don't agree with what they're talking about on that side than that issue. But that issue, I'm on the same page. When it comes to this issue, I am on the same page as Tim Burchett. Now, he was on a podcast. This is on, I don't know, all I see is, I don't know what this is from. This is from the Sean Ryan show. It's from the Sean Ryan show. And this is, and here is the clip.
Luis Elizondo. He's somebody I've tried to get on here numerous times. And it's like, I don't think it's going to happen. But what did he want to talk to you about?
Just about,
because this guy's supposedly
he was on the inside. They claimed they didn't have this organization, and yet he was that organization. $11 million, I think, was funded, I believe, at that time. That funded, it was a senator out of Nevada, Democrat, and he was part of the Skinwalker Ranch thing too. The research there, federal government did there, and he headed up that department. And they said, basically it doesn't exist. And then, sure enough, there he was. He was running it. And again, the tail doesn't know what the rest of the body's doing, and it's just that's government. That's compartmentalized government. It's just too big.
So what did he want to talk to you about?
I think Lou, he's a dear friend, actually.
Is he?
Yes, he is. We stay in contact pretty regular, not telepathically, but I think he just wanted to encourage me. He just said, you're on the right path on this thing, dude. I've talked to him periodically about ideas I've had, and people, if I think that they are legit or these stories, and I say, I sort of got this feeling on this one here, and I don't know that I trust Lou because he was with the government, but I do as much as I trust any of these cats. But he has not lied to me yet. He's not steered me wrong, and he's the real deal. And he was kept, as a lot of them are. He was probably I don't know that he put his hands on anything physically, but he probably kept at arm's length. When he would get close, they would move it or do something else.
So that was the interview they gave. Now Lou. All right, so Lou actually responded, and he said that we have some courageous men and women in Congress like Tim Burchett. History is going to be kind to him. And then someone followed up, this Tony Revside. Lou, it feels like we're trying to scale a mountain at the moment. Are we going to reach the summit? To which Lou says, simply put, yes, but not in the way that many think or even want. But once we are there, the view will be amazing. Keep the faith. Much, much more is coming. It is becoming increasingly difficult by the gatekeepers to hold back the flood. It's coming, and it's soon. Remember, it's a process, not an event. In the meantime, stay tuned. So this is, and again, how much we know about, he was the former director at the AATIP. He's a disclosure advocate with Burchett. So Burchett's working with a lot of these people now. And this guy, kind of putting through that same message that James Fox and Ross Coulthart and all these people are talking about, and saying that within the next year, it's going to start happening. And I guess
feel it.
People are talking about it more than ever. There's no doubt about it. And there's more coverage on it, and maybe not the mainstream coverage that maybe you and I would kind of hope for, but there's always coverage. There's always people talking about stuff. There's always these things, but then there's bigger people like Burchett and this guy out there talking. And I think that what he said though is very, very interesting, which is it's getting harder and harder for the gatekeepers to keep it quiet. Right.
That really stuck with me.
Well, me too. And that goes back to the conversation that you and I had either last week or the following week. And that is, those two guys that we talked about, the two Brooklyn guys, just sitting in the office going, I don't know, man. Listen, I think the jig is up. I think it's up because I try to tell people they're crazy now, and they tell me I'm crazy because I'm not showing them where alien B is. Like,
he's under the rug. Lift it up. It's the basement. There's a latch.
It's the basement. But I'm just saying, like, these two guys or whatever, the government themselves, like this organization for the longest time that was able to hold it, like maybe they're just like, okay, maybe it's eventually we knew it was, because you think they thought they could hold it quiet like forever? Or did you think that eventually they knew it was going to pop, and when it did, they have a plan? Because that conversation, you know what I'm saying?
The government, I think, relies on stigma. Absolutely. Relies on people going, no, they want that. That's an extra layer of defense for them. That's my belief. And to hear Burchett talk about this guy as a friend, he says he gives the caveat he's a Democrat, and that they work together. That's a big thing that I think, I love to see, because sooner or later everybody's going to have to reach across the aisle and work together. Yeah. And I mean, I think that absolutely needs to happen, especially if one of these efforts comes out of the sky and points a ray gun at us.
Well, sure, but don't you think though that, like I was asking, if you're this program that's been around since like the 40s or 50s, or this idea of keep it quiet, make sure that they think it's BS. Let's have this. If you believe in it, which I do, I believe the same thing that kind of essentially what Grusch is saying and what Burchett is saying, of these many government officials and ex program people have been saying that there's this organization that keeps it quiet and doesn't say anything. But if you come up with this plan that you got to keep it quiet, whether it's 1941 or 1981 or whatever, at one point you've got to say, all right, what's our long game? Like, do we think we're going to keep it quiet forever, or do we have a plan that when it's time, that this is what we need to say? Is there a this is what we need to say plan, or is it just like, just keep it quiet until everybody's gone? You know what I mean?
I think the human race can be exceptionally, afraid to look beyond the horizon, and is only concerned with what's in front of him. And with stuff like this, my belief is that we can't, they're going to keep it secret for X, Y, and Z. Whether that's research, re-engineering, all these different things that we've talked about, Kristian, right?
Yeah.
We are not, that isn't a time, like it's a time capsule in my mind. No social media, no, barely television sets, right. The advent of the communication superhighway of the internet that we have now is so different back then. And nobody's looking forward saying sooner or later, I'm going to be able to Google something. What's Google? Right. We'll get there. Right. I'm going to be able to Google this and talk about this. No, I think that as time has gone on and technology has advanced us, things are changing left and right. I don't think they thought that far ahead. They want to hide it as long as possible, is what they think.
I think that, but I think both cases could be true, because it's just it's just, what if, I'm just saying, like, eventually it's like, what if there's just proof that somebody has that you can't hide? Like, because also they can't, what if because you're sitting in a room and you're part of this group. If you and I are part of this group that keeps it quiet for a long time, we're like, yeah, let's keep it quiet as possible. I'm like, okay, but hear me out. What if these things land in the middle of a baseball game and start going like this?
Right.
What are we going to do?
What's your plan?
What's our plan?
They do.
That's what I'm saying. They've got to have some kind of plan of like what they're going to, because they can't control what the things are going to do. Like, even if it's just a thing, even if it's not an alien, even if it's just a thing that lands and it just falls out of the sky one day and it lands in the middle of a city. We never knew about this. Oh, that's new to us.
Where's Will Smith? Tommy Lee.
Like that's what I'm saying. So it's like they got to have. I'm just kidding. Not that we'll ever know what that plan is, but they've got to know. They've got to have a plan.
I'm sure they do. It's just, I really, as you were talking about that, it really does. It does fall to, I believe, the media,
Right?
And
Fault the media, is it?
What's that?
You fault the media?
I think it falls on the media and us to have the media to start trying to get some of this out there.
Yeah.
And if that's not working, which it doesn't, I mean, Channel 7 was like, no UFOs. You know, they immediately went to the aliens in space.
Yeah.
You know, wizards and dragons, and I always put them together because that's what it's like to say they want to debunk it or whatever. But anyways, I think
the internet changed this because
yes,
because years ago,
and humans need to do, and that was my point. Go to the internet, do some research, we need to, as a society, start to demand answers. And make the noise on social media.
Well, that's what it is. It's like you look at it because as you and I were getting frustrated, nobody was kind of covering it on the mainstream. And I think that just kind of embedded into our brains that, well, if they're not covering it on the mainstream, people aren't going to know about it. And then like, wait a minute, the interview with Grusch from that YouTuber got over 1 million views and more so, and picking up, it might have more than that. The stuff from that he was on, that was on The Hill, the stuff that was on News Nation, these other documentaries. You got Ryan Graves' podcast. You have all these different things.
There's noise out there about
There's a lot of noise out there. And it's the thing is because I think that's one of the things that this guy's talking about is that back in the day, the media could be controlled, and essentially it still is controlled. The mainstream media is still controlled. You know, I think there's a reason why these things aren't reported on the mainstream media, and that's controlled for sure. And we're not getting the coverage there. Newspapers can be controlled. It's still a wild, wild west on the internet, and it can't be controlled. Yeah. That's one of the reasons that they're going, what do we do, man? They say, listen, you know, I had Anderson Cooper's not talking about it. Nobody on Fox is. I got these guys. They're done. But then you got these two jerk offs on the big thing or whatever the hell that is, and they're talking about cake aliens, and now people are talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's like
we live in a time.
We live in a time, and you know, the internet, social media is just a game of telephone. By the time one thing can land and gets to you, you know, you're like, what? I didn't know that Biden is an actual alien and he resurrected Michael Jackson, and you know, we're all at peace now. I think. Yeah, well, one of the things we will talk about, I do want to get, we have two more things. So I mentioned the cake aliens. We're going to talk about that in a second. Yeah. We're also going to talk about, and if we have a little bit of time, I want to watch like one or two videos the UAPs Twitter talking about. So we'll look at some and we'll see whether or not we think it's most of them. I think we're going to be like, I don't know, but we'll see. But before I do that, I do want to also tell you guys, as I mentioned each and every week, about our wonderful sponsors that we have. Riley's talking about technology, and the technology's changed. I remember, you got to run out to the grocery store. You hope that you get the right meats, and you hope you can do this. Look, Green Chef. I love Green Chef. I use Green Chef all the time. I just today, shooting the show, I had the most perfect chicken burrito because I made it myself. I had the ingredients from Green Chef. They're amazing. They're the America's #1 meal kit. They're amazing. I'll tell you a little bit about them, and I'm going to tell you about Nutrafol right now. You guys know Green Chef. I've been talking about Green Chef forever. I love them. I've been so excited to continue to work with them because I've been eating really good, as I mentioned before, not only with other vitamins and stuff I'm taking, but I'm eating really well. And the reason why I'm eating so well is because Green Chef is the #1 meal kit for eating clean with dinners that work for you, and it's not the other way around. You can eat clean the easy way with recipes that help manage your weight and support your wellness goals without skimping on flavor. I talk about it all the time. I do my own. I make like quesadillas now, and I can throw stuff on the grill. They have really good meat, good burgers, and they have everything that you can actually. If you don't like burgers, you want to eat vegan more, they can do that too. You can enjoy effortless plant-based dining with Vegan Kickoff, which is a brand new limited time options, including delicious vegan breakfast, lunches, dinners, and sides. They have everything. They deliver everything you need to eat clean the easy way for the rest of the summer. You can feel your best with nutritionists approved recipes packed with clean ingredients that support your healthy lifestyle, and they taste great too. So if you want to check it out, please go and do it because they're really amazing. You get ahead of the busy season with their convenient step-by-step recipes. They have dinners that are ready in like 25 minutes or less. I'm telling you, it was so easy for me, and I'm an imbecile when it comes to cooking. And it was so great. I mean, I love them. If you go to greenchef.com/60thing, greenchef.com/60thing, and use that code 60thing, you'll get 60% off plus free shipping. It is worth the shot. Go and give it a whirl, as the world girls would say. It is so good. I love it, and you'll love it too. So make sure you check it out. That is Green Chef. Don't be embarrassed. Don't do it. Listen, did you know that 80% of men will experience hair thinning in their lifetime? It's normal, guys, but it doesn't have to be your fate. You can get ahead of thinning with Nutrafol. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement, clinically shown to improve your hair growth, visible thickness, and visible scalp coverage. Nutrafol's hair growth supplements use physician-formulated, natural, science-backed ingredients. Their drug-free, patented technology provides consistent, reliable results without compromising your sexual health. Go to Nutrafol.com/men to take their hair wealth wellness quiz. Identify causes of your thinning hair, and Nutrafol will give you a personalized plan for better hair health through whole body wellness. It works. In a clinical study, 84% of men showed improvement in their hair after 6 months taking Nutrafol men's hair growth supplements. Everybody feels this way as you're getting older. You're like, oh man, am I the only one? Why is this happening to me? This and that. We're in an age now where you can get it helped. You can get it fixed. Take the first step to visibly thicker, healthier hair. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com/men, but you have to enter that promo code BIGTHING. Find out why over 4,000 healthcare professionals recommend Nutrafol for healthier hair. Nutrafol.com/men. Nutrafol.com/men and enter that code BIGTHING. That's Nutrafol.com/men, promo code BIGTHING. Again, thank you to both our friends over at Nutrafol and to Green Chef. You can help out this show if you have the means to do it. If you want to support the show and you can do it, please go ahead today and get one of our wonderful sponsors, and you're going to thank us because they're both great. All right, Riley. So you got that article I sent you, right, about the Mexican aliens, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this is I don't know what to I really
don't. Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I'm going to bring this up first. All right, Riley. So here we go. This is now for those people who are just tuning in for the first time and don't know about this story. And a couple of weeks ago, they had a hearing, or it was like a presentation, really, for the Mexican
government. They had their hearings and
they
brought these little guys forward.
At the end of it, they presented these bodies that they said were alien bodies, and it caused a lot of people to do because
me. I went,
myself included.
Come on.
At first, I was like, "Oh man, this is amazing! This is it. This is what we've been talking about." And then I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, you and I talked about the guy that made this presentation said that there were going to be people studying the bodies. And then you'd find out once they started studying the bodies that it wasn't, because there was memes going on. The reason we're calling it cake babies is because there was a guy who made a really funny video of the actual aliens, and then you cut it open, it was cake. It was hilarious.
Looked delicious.
Now, I don't know if NASA per se has done the test, and again, not telling you anything else except what I'm showing you here today. These two videos I want to show you. Make your own.
Yeah.
Please have the conversation about it. And I'm going to obviously do that with Riley right now. But here's this video. This is from the Telegraph. Here, it says Mexican doctors have carried out tests on the remains of the alleged non-human beings. Now, anything for the audio listeners that come up on. Now they're looking at the bodies. It says supposed bodies of extraterrestrials were presented recently to Mexico's Congress.
El primer estudio que se hizo fue una tomografía computarizada. El segundo estudio que se hizo fueron placas de rayos X simple. Y el tercero fue un estudio de fluoroscopía. En los tres estudios se trató de ver la estructura, el esqueleto de estos cuerpos, y se logró determinar que sí pertenece a un esqueleto único, no armado, de una sola pieza íntegra que no se observa
There's no
ninguna
evidence of any assembly or
especie de
manipulation of the
armado
skull
o de
as claimed.
manipulación del cráneo como lo han dicho.
The bodies have sparked conflict between the scientific community and the Peruvian government, who claim that the remains are pre-Hispanic objects. I mean, it looks like a model out of like a thing. It's bizarre.
That looked like a clay sculpture.
It didn't. It looks fake. And then there's this one. This is from MK Jesse. This is a radiologist from the University of Colorado Hospital who also examined the bodies. And here's what she says. I mean, you know, you hear this stuff, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's the same thing. It's like I'm not discrediting either one of those doctors that we just saw, but I almost feel like one of the commenters in the video who's like a skeptic, and where it's like, okay, but where are the Harvard doctors? Where's the NASA guy they said they were going to do it? Where are the government officials standing over this thing doing that? Like, that's the thing that drives me crazy, where if this is a potential, like, if both, and they're not necessarily saying anything except that these are something. This is all they're saying. Neither one of those doctors said this is alien. Neither one of those words not coming out of their mouth. They just don't know what the hell it is. Right. I mean, it's also possible. Who knows? Maybe there's another species that we never discovered on this planet that were running around the joint that got extinct. Who knows?
That my mind went there. My mind went to, in certain cultures, how they can manipulate, and in ritual they can stretch and move the human body in ways that we can't believe. Right. It's like, what if, it sounds crazy that my mind goes there, but if, like, at birth they're like doing something with the bones and making it look this way through, like, time together and stretch. I don't know. But again, there are smarter people out there. To your point, Kristian, yes, I want, like, now move along. Neil deGrasse Tyson said, when you get the data, you start to share it around the scientific community. And I want more of that.
It's amazing how he's been more and more so has been really hurting his legacy more than anything. And over the last, like, I don't know, just last couple of months, I used to see such a different perspective of him when someone would comment on him. Now he's gotten a bit arrogant. He's gotten a bit pompous. He is, like, I think that also, like, David Grusch, by the way, I didn't see this. David Grusch roasted him. Did you see him?
Really? No.
Roasted him.
Oh, I missed this.
I got to find this. Let me see if I can find it.
Oh my God. Let me get the popcorn. Hold on.
All right. So actually, David Grusch challenged Neil deGrasse Tyson to a debate. And I really love David Grusch in general, but I love him even more after this. Like, you haven't seen this.
I missed this.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Even make any sense. I don't like throwing shade, but, like, Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? Oh yeah. He's made up his mind. I've read his tweets, and I'm like, dude, you have a PhD in physics. Where's your curiosity? I can't even believe.
Yeah. There's no evidence that would convince an authentic skeptic.
I have credentials too. Yeah. And I'm happy to go toe to toe with you. Yeah. If he wants to debate me, I'd be fine with that.
Let's do it. I think the best point he made it. I don't think you need anything other than that. He's a physicist. Isn't he curious? I love that. Right. I mean, that's because, lately every time there's some kind of thing that gets people talking online, he comes in there to just kind of, like, he's like a wet blanket.
Yeah.
He just comes in like, turn off the lights, go to bed.
Yeah. Let me see. I just got to play the audio one more time. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. He's made up his mind. I've read his tweets, and I'm like, dude, you have a PhD in physics. Where's your curiosity? I can't even believe you're the big scientific communicator. Well, I think you should probably retire. It's just smug. It's just ridiculous.
It's smug, and it's, I know everything, and it's, I went to this elite university, so I have the credentials to, like, tell you what you should think, instead of exploring these kind of really exciting open-ended questions.
Should we count how many times he said that the universe was 13.8 billion years old, and just be like, you were wrong every single time?
Credentialism, and it's like, well, I have credentials too, and I'm happy to go toe to toe with you. If he wants to debate me, I'd be fine. Let's do it. Gary Nolan and I will debate Tyson. Who's that other Brian Cox? Bring it.
I love where I absolutely love where David Grusch is at right now. I think David Grusch is he's on a different plane right now, man, because like
he knows things we don't.
Well, but it's not just that.
I mean, that's a big part of it, though, right?
Yeah, I mean, of course it is. Of course it is. But what I mean is that if David Grusch tries to do what he did in 1985, he's going to be looked at as just as crazy as other people that did. I mean, whatever you believe about Bob Lazar or these other things too, he's going to be in that same category at that point.
Yeah.
He like this is a different guy. Like even the fact that he's going, yeah, I'll debate Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'll debate these people and talk. I know what I'm talking about. I know what I've seen. I know what I've been. Like it's people like Neil deGrasse Tyson who actually hurt the scientific community. He's not helping.
Yeah. I was going to add, I think it would be a fantastic idea to not even call it, you don't call it a debate either. It's like social media has to make everything about putting two people against each other. Wouldn't it be great if deGrasse Tyson and Grusch just sat down and talked?
I would love to see that.
Just sit there and talk and disagree all you want.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say he won't do it because I've seen him debate people on very different arguments. The question is he going to talk over them, and is he going to like?
Yeah, because that's the point that I saw too. Yeah, he's become kind of a smug. You know what? And it's like we're asking questions. That's all. And I still am like, okay, Neil deGrasse, shut up. What are you saying, Grusch? What's going on?
It's I would rather, like, I can't remember the guy's name, and and I feel bad that I don't, but like I bring it up when I saw after the hearings and when James Fox was on a skeptic show, and there was one guy and James Fox had his dukes up ready to go after the guy, right? And then because he said something about like, I can't remember what it was, but the guy was very complimentary to James Fox and his movies. Like, I've seen your movies. Movies are great and everything too, but I just have a lot of questions. And it was in the way that DJ was on our show, right?
Yeah.
And there were certain things that James Fox said to him. The guy's like, okay, I can see your point. And he had a conversation. I don't think there's any world where even if Neil deGrasse Tyson is talking to David Grusch and Grusch says something to him that he's like, oh, maybe he's not. It's gonna be like, this is why I'm right. This is why I'm right. This is why I'm right. And he absolutely represents a lot of people out there that unless you got to put, and he has said this though, Neil deGrasse Tyson, that I think that once you present the evidence that he can't say, all right, well, I got nothing on that. Once you present that, he was actually, as we talked about on our show 2 weeks ago, he said out of all of it, the alien bodies were the ones that at least they presented something, whether fake or not, they presented something.
Yeah.
So I don't think
that I get. Yeah. That there are points to be made.
Yeah.
You don't have to classify everything as like one thing is said and then rah, rah, rah.
Right.
People could change their minds as well over this. And perhaps, if evidence released, we're talking about it a lot, Kristian, and all of these people that are out there saying, to Burchett, you're close. Maybe in the next year. Right. Maybe in the next year. What are they talking about? Because that like all the way back again, the Tic Tac video is where I really went. That was the most legit. That was when we had the New York Times article then's coming out, and things start to spread. And that experience I had way back in Michigan in 2009. Right. That's crazy. To now put everything together, and there's where there's smoke, there's fire.
Yeah.
We don't have to say they're aliens or from the planet, numbnuts in the freaking Milky Way.
I think most of the people on this planet are numbnuts.
I mean, this is planet numbnuts. Population.
We are on planet numbnuts. I hate to tell you that.
I hate to say it. I know. Yeah. I know.
But. All right, so here's what we can potentially do. Maybe on the digital shows, maybe even on the Patreon show when we start doing it. That might be actually a good idea for the Patreon shows to do something what we're about to do right now. UAP Twitter always has new stuff. They always have stuff coming up. We don't know. Riley and I will look at a few videos and then we'll call it a day and we'll give our opinion on whether we could it be real. possibly, don't know, or that looks fake. That's kind of where we're going to go right now.
Yeah, I am an expert, having seen one myself.
Yeah, you go.
So you know,
so let's get to it. All right, here's the first one. This is over like LaGuardia in New York. So there's one of the hot spots. There it is.
Are you kidding me? Hold on. Are you serious right now? What is that?
Oh yeah, I saw.
Getting closer to it. What the fuck is that?
There's a dot
The
following
plane,
that
the dot
plane.
following.
All right, now that could be anything.
Yeah, it's hard.
It could be
That's
anything.
it. Could be anything. I
It could be
mean,
anything.
I don't buy that one.
I don't think it's fake. You think it's fake?
Yeah,
You
I think-
think it's fake? Okay.
I think it's fake. I think that was a set up TikTok video.
Oh, you do.
What is
Okay.
that, bro? What is that? What is that, man? You know,
The only reason I don't think it's that is because it's not like what kind of like it just doesn't look like anything except a
looks
little
good.
dot.
Yeah, it looks like a little dot. It looks
It's a little dot. It doesn't look like if you're making a fake, TikTok videos. Like, all right, you know what? Make it like zip off or do that too. It's like
yeah. It's
following it. I don't know.
it's also terrifying to consider.
That's true too.
I
I mean,
hate
all these
flying
are.
as is.
Yeah, right,
You know, it's like really, you know, now you're gonna trail us.
right.
You know, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So that one we both. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, in the end, it could be real, but you know, it seems staged to me.
I think it's a real video. I just don't necessarily think it's. I don't know what it is because it's like it could be anything that's trailing it. It could. Who knows what it wasn't. The footage wasn't close enough to me for to say anything. All right. So that's one that's not a crazy one but it's like I understand it. All right. Here's the next one. All right. Let's see what this one is. This is let's just play.
What the hell is that? That's freaky.
Great. Now, this is earlier.
Say again.
Like that looks really good, and like this is where I go. I don't know what's CGI. I don't know what's not. Plus, this is also one of the things that they said before with our hotspot topic of today is that most of the ones that are usually reported are these bright lights out in the sky, right?
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what that is, and it could be anything. I don't know.
Reflections of the sun from
Anything.
you know,
so
it looks real. It looks legit. I mean, it looks legit.
Right.
It's I don't know.
That one looks. Yeah, it looks. I mean, I think that looks like something.
It looks like something. I mean,
Looks like something.
you know, the Blue Angels in formation, and you know, the sun is shining on all the. I mean, it looks explainable. Does that make any sense to you, Kristian?
Yeah.
Like the idea is like that could be something, but boy, it's weird, and I can't describe it.
Right. Now this is where okay. So this is kind of my point. If you're watching this show and you're like, I don't know what I believe. I'm not sure. I like listening to Riley and Kristian talk about this thing, but look, I saw that light. Those lights look like something. I don't know what that is. The New York one looks like something. And when I turn this one on, this is when you go, yeah, guys, I'm out. At least for me. Okay. So this is one that let's watch.
Yeah.
This apparently is from the 1960s. And this is supposed to be for people who are listening. This is an actual alien creature. And look at the foot. Look. He's letting them do a profile of him. He's got nice pants on. Got his whole jacket going.
And this,
now, what I will say about this thing, what I would be so curious about. Now, I don't believe this World War III. It's called. Now, not in an instant do I believe that is real. However, what I would love to do, I would love to have one of the kids from the Zimbabwe case and say, did it look anything like that? Did it look anything like that? That's all I want to know. Because that footage, I mean, come on.
There is a universal, there's kind of a universal representation of aliens. They call them the gray aliens that are out there, right? The big heads, the eyes, and various incarnations of that being one of them, that they put a nice, the Gap outfit on this alien in particular.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said, but that's why I bring up the Zimbabwe one, because remember the kids said that they're wearing like the black, like kind of tight suit.
Yeah, and I mean, there's various, the big eyes and the gray.
Yeah.
Actually, some people have said that they're actually spacesuits and they're underneath them. That's Fire in the Sky, actually. That
right. Well, and
there's something in there, and then it came out of it. Communion, I think, is another one.
Well, the Virginia case said that the thing was not wearing anything, and it was like had the oily body and it was sulfur smell and all that. All right, this is two more here. This one to me looks about as CGI as you get.
Yeah.
But I want to see what you think, Riley. See if you agree or disagree, and see what the audience says. I want to get the audience's take on all these.
Yeah, everybody drop in the comments.
And when I say like I said, we preface this by saying when you dive deep on the UFO UAP Twitter, you come up with stuff like this all the time. I don't know what's
have fun.
Yeah, it's what you can find. It's like certain reports with the bodies, with the aliens, the things that the stuff that I found with Burchett and those things. You can find the nuggets of stuff that actually is the real news. And I don't know, I'm not saying that this isn't, but this one to me doesn't look real. This is apparently two jets chasing down a UAP.
Yeah, it looks like they're flying into Bespin.
Right. It does not look
real. That does not look real.
And he's able to track it that easy?
No, that doesn't.
I mean,
what is that? No. No, that's
yeah, that's terrible. I mean, does anyone think that looks real? I mean, if you do, you do. But that looks terrible.
Completely ridiculous.
That looks terrible. Yeah. We'll do one more, Riley.
It's fun to play with stuff like that and go, what if?
It is. Actually, this one's actually hilarious.
I don't want it to be purported as real. That's where it gets,
No, that's my point. That's the reason when this stigma kind of comes up.
Yeah.
That if you're searching this, if you're searching this stuff and you're like, all right, I'll see what the hell these people are talking about. And you come across this stuff, you're like, sure it is, as opposed to finding like the real information that's really out there.
Well, that's why they're putting the videos out there that you can go to this actual government website and check it out for yourself.
That's right. But let me play this one, because this one I got a kick out of. Can you see it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you watching?
Yep.
All right.
Did he just get vaporized?
Yeah, they vaporized him.
There we go. That's I can't believe the media is not covering that.
Right.
This is what I'm talking about. A man has been vaporized.
But people play, man. That's what you get, that cake video and you get that. But as we do the funny stuff, let's try to end with one that looks decent. And this is one. Let's see. Let me find one. Now this is the kind of stuff that you usually see that people go, well, I can't see anything. You see that, you see that, Riley?
Yeah, I do.
Now that you're like, well, that could be a storm. That could be this.
Yeah.
This is the sound alone is eerie, but you watch what happens as it gets closer. I still want to see what happened with that. Oh, look how close that car is.
Okay.
Can't see it. Oh, there it is.
There it is. Yeah, it looks like a saucer.
It looks like something.
Like it's spinning.
Yeah. What is it?
I don't
spinning
know.
around. then it just kind of zips off. Is that it? Yeah, it just kind of disappears. So
that one's hard. Yeah, that one's hard. It looks, you know, what's the context? You know, who took it? You know, tell me the story, because it's darkness, and it's, you know, that's where skepticism is, I think, healthy and encouraged, where you're like, okay, you know, I'm willing to believe that. I was hoping the thing was gonna, when you were saying, you're like, oh, I think it's gonna do something. If it was about to just go out of the sky, which happened to me, I would have been like, that's it.
Dude, there was another one I saw. I'm gonna see if I can find it real quick. And it was one that like it moves and like just zips off. And
that's the thing that everybody has talked about when they like, and we're talking at the hearings, and we're talking with, you know, Grusch, and when he was explaining all these things, you know, when they talk about the speed of these things, you know, punching holes in clouds, that is what I saw. It's insane. I love it was to this day it's still burned in my brain.
I'm not sure if I can actually find this one, but like I don't know. I guess I missed this one, but like we'll if you guys like this segment of this, then we'll do more of these, because to me it's like, to me this is kind of fun to do.
It's fun. I like it.
But well, we'll get your thoughts on it. But I think that's it for today. We have more stuff that we'll talk about next week, and it'll pop up. We've talked about so much today. We've talked about so much. So I'm so curious, and you guys have been really lending your thoughts, telling us what you thought about a lot of the things that we cover. Whether you're a full-on believer, whether you're on the fence, whether you're a full-on skeptic, let your thoughts be known on all this, please. It helps out the show tremendously just to hear what everybody's talking about, and anything that we covered here today. But Riley, where can the good kids find you?
Follow me at Riley Around, REILLY around, on all the interwebs stuff, I guess is where you can find me.
Please do that, because Riley's here every week. We'll be back next week, most likely in studio. But if you are interested in us doing more things like we just did, and probably do those on like longer, we're going to be doing more. We're going to be doing at least 2 new episodes of the show, to where we can get questions from you guys, really go through it. And that'll be on Patreon. So if you're able to, patreon.com/thebigthingsshow, join there today. We have it's the first thing you see in the description of the video. So just sign up today if you can. Look at what benefits are right for you. We're changing all the benefits for November 1st. We'll have extra episodes, all those types of things. But UAP will be one of those things that happens in November. Make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't done already. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. We're on anywhere podcasts are found. Thank you guys. Thanks for Mark, Riley. We'll see you guys on the flip side. Peace.